Well, good morning, guys. Friday all day. We're gonna have nothing but Kohlberger all on the brain, morning and night. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Shall we?
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the transparency. We shall.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you... All right, who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay, drive careful, okay?
Will do, thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car and the other one.
It's truly for the win.
Coffee for the win this morning. It's actually tea. Squeeze two of them in there.
That I was given to. So there was two different discs. Okay, they all knew about it.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, members, subscribers. Those of you guys that just happen to hit YouTube and come across this. Today, big day. Brian Kohlberger is in the courtroom. He's got two hearings. The first one is closed to the public. The second one, we get to hear about it. So that will be live our first time from Judge's YouTube channel. Can you fucking believe it? Everybody that says, hey, YouTube ain't shit. It's not real life. Well, Judge, he is live streaming the court hearing. So what you guys are going to be looking at here from, we got Hector the Projector that's got 1, 2, 3, Instagram, Microsoft, and TikTok. Those are those 23 to 25 page. It's about, I got 75 pages here worth of crap. Crap that actually I think matters in terms of where the prosecution was heading, just in case the DNA and the sheath gets tossed. What do we have? Where can we look? How can we connect Brian Kohlberger to any of the victims, even the survivors? So, but this episode is titled Searching for Connections for a reason. These search warrants, what were they for? They were, TikTok was sent out July 24th, 2023. It was returned August 17th. Again, Microsoft went out on the 24th. It was returned on the 23rd of August. And so I put them in the order that they were returned and when they got them. And then here's the big one. Instagram took a little bit longer, and we got this one back on 9/11, 2023. What I think the most important part is to look at what they were interested in finding was, first we'll start with TikTok. TikTok, they wanted, with this search warrant, they wanted Ethan Chapin's, right there. They wanted Ethan, number one, they wanted 3 people's data. And the first person is listed as Ethan. Chapin's TikTok. So let's make this as clear as possible here. There we go. And they gave him some options. There's an email address. There was 2 of them. And then here's this phone number. And they wanted information between June 1st, 2022 and November 14th, 2022. So the day after the murder. And then they wanted Dylan Mortenson's TikTok. Okay. Again, 2 different email addresses and this phone number to use. And then here for number 3, I thought it was interesting. You see how they put Dylan Mortenson's TikTok? They were just such in a hurry. You know, they went ahead and put Ethan's TikTok like that when they wrote it out, Ethan's TikTok account. When they got to Bethany here, they just put Bethany Funk with any of the following email addresses. Again, I don't know if they just copy, cut, paste what they're doing. But Bethany's is the only one that's written differently. I thought that was interesting. Like, stuff should matter how you write it. And I'm going to highlight the stuff that they wanted. Number 3 here, the IP address at the time of when the TikTok was signed up. What IP address did you use? And this is a way to see the different devices, like what device did you have then compared to what device you have now, type of thing, in my opinion. Did you sign up from like your laptop? Did you sign up from what IP address did you use, Bethany? Did you use Dylan? And did you use Ethan to set up your account? That's something that they wanted, that IP address that set it up. Number 4, all activity logs, including IP logs and other documents showing the IP address, date, and time of each login. Something I think is interesting with that is, were you ever using anybody else's device to log into your TikTok? Okay. Again, that's each login since you had that account. Number 5, again, this has to do with TikTok for Bethany, Dylan, and Ethan. All information regarding the particular device or devices used to log in. Again, I'm highlighting the parts that I believe are relevant because it matters. If they're trying to find other devices that maybe somebody's not telling people about, that you didn't have. Oh no, I've always had this. This is the only phone I've ever used. Well, I heard that being said by Jennifer Drake once in an interview. She also tried to pass off that her son didn't have a cell phone at the time of the murders. She's just a fucking liar, you know? So you got to go get these specific search warrants that you can get the specific information that you're looking for. They have to be very specific, and they are asking for very specific things. So again, number 5, there is all information regarding the particular device or devices used to log in to or access the account. Okay. Right here. They want all the information that particular device or devices used to access the account and the date and time of those accesses. We want to know everything about any device you've ever used, a particular device to get into any of those, the TikTok account. Then number 6, all data and information associated with the profile page, including photographs, bios. And they want to know, did that ever change at any point, in my opinion? So your photographs, your bios, your profile backgrounds and themes. Did it ever say at a point that you were on TikTok? I didn't even know that you could like do anything like that, but so I don't know. That was, I just put that because did this ever change? I think that they're looking to see if something ever changed in that category of setting up your account. Did you ever end up go to your profile page? When were you changing things? And so number 7 is all communication or other messages sent or received by the account. And I'm curious to see what account they're labeling there, or if it's just, we're continuing on to the next, which is number 8, all user content created, uploaded, or shared. Now, this is where I think that they want the pictures, because something that came up in the Chris Watts case, which was who was responsible for actually making the or taking rather the dowel pic. Okay, remember that was a big point of contention in that case. Who actually took the picture? Well, I think that they're trying to get to the bottom of who is possibly the person responsible for, let's say, taking the picture of the masks that they were allegedly wearing in some Jeep. Okay. But any type of picture, you want to know where it came from, who was originally responsible for it, who took it, anybody can go out there and claim anything that they want, but let's go get the data behind it. Also in that is going to be including all location data associated with the account, including, there you go, geotags. Again, where did photos originate? Even if you're tagged and stuff. So a list of all the people that the user follows, on this TikTok account that we're looking for, Bethany's, Dylan's, and Ethan's, there's a list of followers and there's a list of people that you're following. We want all that information. Here's the big one though. A list of all the users that the account has unfollowed or blocked. Who has, out of those 3 accounts, who have they ever unfollowed or blocked? And number 15, all records of TikTok searches performed by the account, including all past searches saved by the account. So who have you ever looked up? What's your heavy lookup? Again, I think it's interesting because are we going to see a lot of the whole, are these people looking up Emma Bailey? I'm just curious. All information, this is number 16, all information about connections between the account and third-party websites and applications. And then it's redacted. I'm looking into what more this could be associated with because it was that important to redact it. Okay. Number 17 is all records pertaining to communications between TikTok and any person regarding the user or the user's TikTok account, including contacts with support service. So was there ever a time that you needed to report somebody, and what type of links did you go to possibly say like, holy shit, this person is a fucking creeper or something like that? No. Number 17. All records pertaining to communications between TikTok and any person regarding the user or the user's TikTok account. I'm sorry, I read that. Again, TikTok. They wanted Bethany, Dylan, Ethan. Boom. The reason that it is just like being attached now is because they couldn't have a hearing. It was temporarily sealed. Then they stipulated to it continuing being sealed until they could talk about it in February. That's why these were uploaded now, just so you guys know. Let's take a look at Microsoft. So again, that was TikTok, came back on August 17th, 2023. These were all put in to go and get the warrant, though, on July 24th, 2023. I think is really important because that's after all the movement was being made with the defense getting in contact with their DNA specialists, their DNA experts, and they were uploading their declarations, affidavits, things like that. It's like, okay, if this DNA in this sheath and how we went about it gets kicked out, gets tossed, we need to go get X, Y, and Z. Also, Ann Taylor was making it known that there is no connection between my clients and any of these victims. She said it publicly in a hearing, and I believe that she was saying it heavily, probably behind closed doors through emails and stuff like that. Like, you still have not provided us with any of the information of how my client even knows these people. So if something was to get tossed, aka the sheath, the DNA, how are we going to be able to, if the jury never gets to see that and we're not able to use that, we have what? A white Elantra, and what else? We have to go finding stuff, right? Because why wasn't this done earlier? Everybody's saying, why wasn't this done earlier? Why wasn't this done earlier? I can't answer that question, but what I can speculate on is that you're going out to try to get more information, as you should, but why do they need the more information? And it's just my opinion that in case the DNA was to be tossed, okay, in case the sheath doesn't get to be in case, your IgG and all that crap, what else are you going to use besides, okay, we have this car that has no evidence, and this car that has no blood, this car, no DNA, that a house, his parents has nothing there, and an apartment that has nothing there. So how are we going to, so they're trying to connect, in my opinion, Brian Kohlberger to these victims and possibly the survivors. Also, the locations. Remember, they're asking for people's locations, and so what we think something could be truly be for, it's also a back way to try to get something legally, which would be if we get all these apps track our locations. Let's then use these apps, these locations, to pinpoint where people are. But can the apps ever be wrong? I like the fact that they went for the IP addresses. Then it's going to tell you what devices were being used. Because anybody can sign in to anybody's account if you have the password. Because then you have to prove that that was you using your own TikTok. Because let's say that it comes back that IP address that belongs to Bob Smith has my TikTok on it. I'm like, what the fuck? I wasn't on TikTok then. Look at this IP address. This isn't associated with me. This cocksucker just fucking stole my shit and is doing whatever. So you have to go like step by step by step to pinpoint the fact that the person at the account belongs to the owner, that they're using it on their device, or if it's not their device, whose device is it? Why would their TikTok be used by that person? You got to keep going so that you can pinpoint everything to prove that it in fact is that person. Again, this is my interpretation. Moving along. Incel my ass, right? I thought he doesn't do anything, right? Now, I want to say this, and this is just a typo because I don't want anybody to go crazy, or feel free to go ahead and call the Moscow Police Department and ask them why. But I want to show you guys something. There's a typo on each one of these search warrants because they put the year August 25th, 2022. So right here where it says order of return signed on August 25th, see, it says 2022. That would be before the murders even happened, guys. But me and Miss Potts, she's like, Lana, I'm telling you, they were looking into these kids before the murder ever happened. They may have well been, but this is a typo. Okay, this is an order of return signed. It should say 2023. This is why I know for a fact they're doing a lot of cut, copy, paste into shit because they're just pumping out. They want to see a lot of search warrants. I personally don't think that you should be doing things like this. I mean, this is high profile. This is where your time should be. You shouldn't be having typos like this, but this is in every single one. Okay, and this is a date before the murders, but I believe. Okay, this is an order of a return signed, and it's August 25th, and it's 2023, guys, because that's what matches the date. Now, I just want to point that out. So, how I know that it's not about a different case is they have what you call a case number, and everything has the same case number. So if that in fact was from, let's say that they were looking at these kids with a different case, that'd be different. It's just a simple lazy. It's sloppy. That's all. But what that should tell us is everything we need to know about what type of work they do. That's all. And we know that they do sloppy work, right? But we're going to give them a call today because I have a lot of questions for MPD. Now, moving on to, we're going to talk about Microsoft. Now, Microsoft Again, they asked for the warrant. These three all went on the same day, which was July 24th, 2023. What I went back and checked is, why did they put these out July 24th, 2023? Well, I believe it has everything to do with the DNA, and that the defense is pumping out all of this, their affidavits, their declarations, everything to do with, we're going to hardcore attack your DNA. And if that shit gets tossed, they need more, and they need to start going digging for it. And that's exactly what they went and did. So Microsoft, here we go. With this affidavit, Lawrence Mowry went and got it. Okay, but take a look. Look up. Ready? When it came back, the warrant was served on the 25th. It was returned on 8/25, but it was returned not to Lawrence. Remember how I pointed out each time they're normally going back to Lawrence Mowry? This one, going back to Payne. You got to talk about it. You got to point it out because it's different than normal. And here it is. Payne received the email from Microsoft stating that the data was available. Payne downloaded the data and provided it to me. They leave out the date on when that all happened. Normally they put the date on when that happens. For example, if you go and you look at the TikTok one that we just looked at, take a look. The warrant was served on this date on August 17th. See how he puts the date, Mowry. On August 17th, I received the email for me that it was available to download, but that he didn't do it though until August 22nd. I downloaded it. So he's always putting down the dates. Well, here, Mowry with this, it was Mowry that received it. See how he says, I received the TikTok. I received. He's the one that put it in, and he's the one that went ahead and received it. Well, here with the Microsoft one, Lawrence put it in, okay, but Lawrence didn't receive it. It actually went to Officer Payne first. Officer Payne received that email, okay, on August 23rd. Then normally what you see here are the dates on when. Just because you received the email doesn't mean you went and downloaded it yet. So they leave out when Payne downloaded, what was the date on that, right? How I was able to pinpoint the date is because when they say that Payne downloaded the data and provided it to me. How did he provide it to you? Was it on a hard drive? Was it through email? Okay. Normally those dates are put down though. But again, how I know when it happened is when he does his return. Let me go to the next page here. Well, then I was like, okay, let me just go to this return on this day. Of this, approximately this, the following, please. And I'm just like, dude, come on, man. Now I got to keep digging. So I kept digging and I found it. But this was your biggest whited out, I guess you'd say, redacted stuff. Page 1 of 2 there. And see, this is when he prepared the return to turn it into Magistrate Megan, the 24th day of August. So they're just lazy. Now let's see what they wanted. They felt the need on this one, heavier redactions. Okay. Lawrence wanted, it says on the records currently under the control of Microsoft, asked with blank redacted and any the following, this is how they write, and any the following account information. Redacted. There's 4 redactions. Then IME, OneDrive, and then a redaction. And then this is what they were looking for. Remember the copy, cut, and paste? So they wanted this account information, username, and then it gets to like you're supposed to insert the dates. They never insert the date, and they let MM is your magistrate. January 1st, 2022, the same day that they started for the DoorDash. to December 30th, 2022. Now they're going all the way, and this is a typo. This should say 2023. Do you see how bad they are? Wait, what is this? This to this? That's not even the way that you go in a calendar year. So like this should have been 2000. Like they even still try to correct it and it was still wrong. This should say 2023. You guys see this? So they think that they're, I mean, just how bad is this? How bad is the paperwork in this case? Well, guys, but the paperwork is everything. If you can't listen to somebody when they're talking to you and then compute it, listening paper, and then going over your work. I mean, this is a quad homicide. What the fuck are you doing, man? You see this right here? 7/25/2023. See that MM? That's your magistrate. So signing off on the correction. Well, what correction? This is still fucking wrong. Like you guys are just that bad, sloppy, but that says everything to me. I don't want these ass clowns even doing a reported stolen bike, for heaven's sakes. Okay, I don't even think it's unprofessional. Someone says it's unprofessional. No. This is this is why people that I don't know run businesses or even are lawyers and have secretaries. This gets you fired. Okay, this is fireable. Oh, thanks. Anyways, what this should say is 2023. Okay, but they go ahead and they catch the mistake that they didn't even put a date in. So they type it in. The magistrate says that she did it, and here she makes the wrong year. Just pointing that out. Now, what do they want? I'm going to point out what I think is important is a number 4. They want the calendar. All calendar, including shared calendars, if you share your calendar with anybody. Number 6, finance. All records of securities, funds, and portfolios associated with the target Microsoft Corporation account and or target device. Finance. See this thing? Finance. Number 8. Photos, baby. I'm sorry. Hold on. Number 7. With your emails. I don't know why I didn't circle that the first time. Any of your emails associated with your Microsoft, but here, again, going hard for that IP address. Wanting to know if you're signing into any of your Microsoft, what device are you signing in on? Whose device are you using? IP. Now. Number 8, images, photos. It'd be interesting to see if any of these kids use laptops to the point that they were plugging in their phone into their laptop, and then downloading stuff onto their laptop. Okay. Number 9, location history. Huge. They're trying to find every which way possible with all these different apps / softwares to track you, to locate you. Remember what Mr. Gonsalves said is this case is going to be unprecedented with the way that we are tracked, in a sense. So I went through all of these and looked at that whole aspect of it. And I was pointing that out with what I think is important. All location data, whether derived from the global GPS system data cell site, triangulation with the towers, precision measurements, information such as timing advance or per call measurement data, Wi-Fi location. Boom. The reason this is huge for me is because after taking on the Jennifer Drake, Brian Drake, Daniel Lee Moore case, and getting the actual and seeing what it looks like when someone hands you, here's your return on the cell towers, the same thing that they did in this case. Well, I looked at all the call history that happened on this tower between the hour that they allowed for that case. And I'm like, what the F? Where's any of the calls that Brian Drake's cell phone allegedly made to his wife, you know? And I went and pulled the returns on his office, and there's no router in there. You know, he doesn't have Wi-Fi. There was no router that was taken into evidence. So he's working totally just straight up on a data plan. Okay. So he's using data from his phone, right? And if I'm on my tower right now, where I'm sitting in my house, and I was to call, let's say, Bumblebee, I make a call out. Why wouldn't it be on the cell tower? Why wouldn't it be on the cell tower? Well, are you sure you're not on Wi-Fi calling? Well, no, I have Wi-Fi here. No, I'm not using Wi-Fi calling. Now, if I was to go into my Facebook and go to Messenger, okay, and I was to use Messenger to place a call to, let's say, Bumblebee, Mod Squad, and I place a call, is that call on Wi-Fi or is that call on the towers? If I'm calling from my Facebook Messenger app and I make a call and I call Mod Squad from my messenger on Facebook to her messenger on Facebook, would that be on the towers? Or is that Wi-Fi calling? And then therefore, how do I get that information to show that I made? Because it's interesting because my call log shows me that I made that call from my messenger to her messenger. Like it would show that. But my phone records don't have that. So would I be on a tower? And so I said, I need the guy that testified in the Chase Merritt case to come on my panel and answer these questions, because this is going to be everything, in my opinion, with this case, only because people are calling people through apps now, right? If you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Go to your Facebook Messenger, look at, Messenger, go ahead and text back and forth with somebody, okay? That doesn't show up on your Verizon billable. That doesn't show up that I was texting with you, right? You'd have to physically go to Facebook and get all of that from them. Okay. But what it would show on my phone is when I'm in my actual phone and there's a Cellbrite dump, it'll show that I was making timeline transactions. So you would compare your timeline transactions and the timestamp of those timeline transactions with from your phone with that data from your app. Now, yes, it shows on your call log that you look on your phone. Go look at your actual. So here, I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. Hold on one second. I got a big old binder. Let's take a look though. Oriani phone records from November 2020 to present day. And then I have it all divided up into each month, and if it was the text messaging logs or the call logs, okay? And let me show you something. At the time of this provider, it was T-Mobile. Okay. So what I went and did to track everything down, to see how it would look on my actual, this is what I pay for, right? Perfect. Let's take a look at this. I want to see how I can do this and not, I don't want to. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a members only where I show that portion of it. That way I can continue on. Because it's really important. So going back to this whole Wi-Fi location, I want to also talk about Wi-Fi calling. Okay. Because I'm under the impression that you need to have Wi-Fi. Think about when you have a phone, you don't pay your phone bill, but you have this phone that's like a computer basically. And you're like, you go over to someone's house and you're like, hey, what's your Wi-Fi? I need to get on your Wi-Fi. You get on that person's Wi-Fi, and then guess what you can start doing? You can start making calls, right? Because you're on Wi-Fi. But you need Wi-Fi to do that, right? Well, how do you do it if you're not on Wi-Fi? Can you make Wi-Fi calling from your phone? What if your phone has like its own personal hotspot? Does that matter? Colleen and me said at the same time. There you go. You could buy a Wi-Fi hotspot prepaid ban, I think she meant to say. Because I've done it. Okay. Perfect. Now, going back to this, take a look. Wi-Fi. Now, number 10, Microsoft Store. All applications downloaded, installed, and or purchased by the associated account and or device. So they want to know of whoever they're looking for here with this. They want to know every single thing that you've bought within your Microsoft Store. Okay. Now, this is interesting to me because if you have everybody's phone and you just download all the material, right? That's not enough if you want to know this, which is if at a different point in time when I didn't have that phone and had other phones and I made the mistake of ever buying something through my Microsoft account, but I just did it from a different phone. I did it from a different IP address, which is essentially a different device. So this tells me that they're going way past what devices that these people have, that they're looking for stuff that these people would have had on different devices at a different point in time. I'm trying to explain it the best that I can. Now, I did something to test a theory, and holy shit, I'll tell you what I did. I went and got, you know how you could add to your phone plans another phone at any point in time. So I went and added the new, whatever it is, iPhone 14. But what I did is I uploaded when I set up the account with that phone, I uploaded all of my, like, when you set up an iPhone, you set up your cloud. I put all of my information in versus just setting it up like it was a new phone. I, in a sense, I don't know. It has its own number. So I have my cell phone number, and then here's a different cell phone that I got. It has its own number. But when I went to the beginning part, when you are, I guess you could say, setting up your phone, I did it all with my Apple ID. I did it all with my, I think that's how you would say it, my iCloud. Okay. But here it has a totally different phone number, right? So when I was texting myself from my phone to that phone, it's putting everything like that. It's like if I was to look at my cell phone and hand it to somebody, it looks like, because let's say that I made the phone for my son for an emergencies. It doesn't look like those two devices are talking back and forth to each other at all. On my text messages, it's all coming from the same column on the same side. You know how it would be like blue on one side, white on the other side when you're texting? It's the fucking weirdest thing. It's beyond crazy. Because how it should look is this cell phone number is texting this cell phone number, right? And so when I'm texting myself to do it, just to test it all out, everything is coming on the one side. It looks like nobody's responding from the other phone, but yet that phone keeps dinging and popping up, but everything is all on the one side. So I'm over here like, whoa, what the fuck did I just come and stumble across? So I call fucking what Apple, you know, when you set up your appointments, like, you know, you go see like the Geek Squad. Well, I'm like, dude, I want to set up something with Apple because this has me like, wait a second, I'm mind fucked here because say that I got this phone for my kid, but I want to be able to monitor everything that they do, right? When that phone takes pictures, it goes into my picture roll. And I'm like, wait a second, hold on. So I'm looking back. So yeah, if my son was to take a screenshot of something, if my son was to take a picture of something using that other phone, it's literally coming in real time. I go to my camera roll and I will see that phone just took pictures. And I'm like, wait, excuse me? Holy shit, wait, what am I uncovering here? But at the same time, if that other phone, it doesn't receive everything like text messaging wise and who I'm dealing with. It just depends on when the phone gets back to plugged into download. Then you would receive everything at that point of what's happening on my phone at that point. But I could literally track. It's fucking crazy, okay? It's just absolutely crazy. And I'm trying to put my head around it because I do think that I'm an intelligent person. But what I think I just uncovered is fuck cloning. I don't believe I cloned my phone because it's not like a clone, but it's interesting whatever I did because I want answers on it because it's messing with stuff. It would mess with stuff. It would 100% mess with stuff. And so I'm like, what is this? And we're going to talk about somebody that thinks that they're cloud-based forensics and that's what they're studying. It's going to be interesting. And it's very difficult to follow along. So how you're going to have you guys have a jury and you know, if you're going to have an older jury, you want to have a pretty healthy mix here because I'm telling you, people that don't use the internet, people that don't understand a lick of this, not going to be able to follow it. You better have somebody that can really, really explain it, or you're going to have that good balance to offset anyways, moving back to this, but I was doing a bunch of tests because that's what you do, right? Again, number 11, closing this one out, is finance, the search history. All search history and queries, including by way of example and not limitations such as the World Wide Web, images, news, shopping, ads, videos, map. Very interesting that they put ads. You know why they do that? Because based on what you're talking to your phone about, based on what you type in, that's what type of ads will surface. Videos, maps, travel, and finances. Woo! You know? And this is the daddy. This is the puppy. This is the Microsoft one that went to Paine before it went to what's his tits? Maori. And now the last of the 3 search warrants that just got uploaded, Instagram. Now you're all going to say to yourselves, as you should, wait, Instagram. Didn't they already go and get Instagram? Hell yeah, they did. Hell yeah, they did. Wait, didn't they already go and get TikToks? Hell yeah, they did, right? But not this shit. Not this what they're looking for. Okay. But so here, Instagram, they've already went there, right? Well, they're going back. Why? Well, let's find out. Again, 7/24/2023 is when they got it, served it. They got the information back on 9/11/2023. What did they want there, right? Again, went and got it on the 24th, served the search warrant on the 25th, got it back. I'm sorry, on 9/6, but this guy waited. He let this sit in an email for 5 days. So maybe he was on vacation. But on 9/11 is when he logged into the online portal and downloaded it. Okay. And what that means is you just download it. That does not mean that he went through it at all. Then he packages it up nice and neatly to say that he downloaded it. Then he provides the return service to the magistrate. So let me go ahead and show you what they wanted, though. Here's your search warrant for this Instagram and what they were looking for. Xana, Maddie, Kaylee. With these identifiers, they were redacted. Okay? To include now Xana, Maddie, Kaylee. Lana, did they go and try to get those before? Yes, they did, right? Absolutely. So what's going on, right? They're going back for more. They need more, okay? They need more information from whatever it is here. And now let's see. All user subscriber information to include but not limited to FBID identification number, email address, date, timestamp of account creation. Okay. Most recent account logins. That's what I thought was interesting. Okay. Most recent account logins. Registered. Yeah. Mobile number. Verification of whether the number is publicly viewable. Interesting, huh? Is that number publicly viewable? Because you have to ask yourself this. Let's say that they're going to try to say that Brian Kohlberger called one of these kids, right? One of these victims. How did Brian Kohlberger get this number? Was it given to him? Could he have found it a different way? Okay. the length of service, including start date, the type of service utilized by the user. So how long did you have that account? The means and source of any payments associated with the service, including credit card or bank account numbers. Again, this is a way that I believe you're getting around the system. What I mean the system is if you want information on these kids, right? If they're trying to hide debit cards that they would have ever had or a bank account, right? Maybe they made a mistake and uploaded a card at some point. Okay. They uploaded a card at some point to purchase something. And then from this, going about it this way, we were able to uncover a new account. So this is getting creative in a way to go see if there's any other financial avenues, lines. Does that make sense? So this was creative enough, in my opinion, the way that it was worded, that Magistrate Megan, okay, yeah, she was down with that. Like, okay. Because that could have come back and said, no, I'm not. But how they did it here, that's how you're going to be able to get this information. So next, user contact information to include name, birth date, contact email, physical address, city state, Again, more to do with the phones, work phone, screen name. All privacy settings, meaning what could people view? How was this set up? Did they ever change it? Was it maybe set private at one point, then it went public? User photo print. This is going on my theory based on how they did this. They were asking for the photo stuff because where you are when you take a photo, it tends to have the data behind it to show where you were, what time it was taken. So the user photo print, including all photos uploaded by that user ID and all photos uploaded by any user that has that user tagged, including any metadata. So let's say if you and me, if I try to tell an officer, yeah, I uploaded that when we were together. I took that picture and that was from this day. And the officer thinks that I'm not telling the truth on that. How is the officer going to show that? Well, go and get this information to see where this user was and where this user was at the time that fucking picture was taken and uploaded. That's something how you could prove that, right? Versus me being sinister with something if I uploaded it. For example, the 333 allegedly Dylan, posting stuff, or just anybody for that matter. But when you go and you get this and you're asking for your photos, those are all tagged. Those are all tagged with timestamps, locations, coordinates. Trying to use an example of something that I just showed in the courtroom. When you take a screenshot of something, a screenshot is a picture. But then if you take a screenshot of a screenshot, they start using these little squares on the bottom right-hand side to show that it was a screenshot. When you then take another screenshot of that picture that already had that little square, it's going to put that little square on top of it, but just enough for you to see that there was one behind it, like a domino almost, to show, like, let's say that you took another screenshot of it. It's going to show that that was a screenshot of a screenshot of a screenshot. But you can also try to cut that part out to make it seem like it's the first one, but it really wasn't. But the only way that you're going to be able to prove that it wasn't is by going and getting the metadata on, like, the whole phone as it is. because if there's other pictures that would exist in your phone of that same thing, then you could see that it was that photo already existed and you took, anyways, I'm just trying to explain why and how somebody would have to double check and triple check if and in fact something that they just received it or had they had it for a long time. Again, this is all hard sometimes to talk, like to explain, but hopefully hopefully I'm doing a good enough job that you can follow along with why you would need to go through these links to get your hands on stuff like this and to find where everything originates. It's all about the origination of where something came from. This is why screenshots, okay, unless you stipulate to stuff like that in court, that ain't gonna fucking fly in court. Okay, you don't get to come in and take a screenshot of something and say this is from this, it's not how that fucking works. This person gave me this screenshot and I'm using it as my evidence. What? Well, that's hearsay. You know what I mean? Like, so this isn't even your screenshot that you're trying to use. So then that's hearsay. Where'd you get it from? Well, this person, and why'd they give it to you? Like, it's whatever. Moving on. Okay. Why would they be interested in everything surrounded by photos, period? Because wasn't it Officer Payne that said in the probable cause that Xana was using TikTok at 412? Well, guess what, guys? If you just fucking have your TikTok on, you have your TikTok on, and you let it sit there, walk away, go do your laundry, go pick up your kid from school, come back, it's going to keep replaying that same fucking thing over and over and over and over and over. Right? Was I on TikTok? No, I fucking wasn't. Was I sitting at my phone on TikTok? Could I have even left, came back? Yeah. But just because that's playing doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean a fucking thing. Xana, making a command is what's ultimately going to prove that your phone made a command versus that your phone was running an app. Running an app and making a command are two totally different things. Also, if my phone is just sitting in the same position, if I was to stand up right now and walk over there, walk over here, go over there, it's going to have me walking with my device, right? If in fact I even have that available to have. Now I made it way more difficult for people. So right here. What are they going for hard here? Friends list, status updates, linked photos, photographs, anything that you maybe had on, you deleted it. We want that, right? Right here. Instagram group notification number, which the user is a member of. Remember what Dave said to me, okay? He said that we were in these groups, which I went, yes. Like if you had a group that was like a bunch of people were in it and all it did was update on, hey, this is when this house is having a party. This is what this house is having a party. So you're in different groups that are in private messages, okay? But it's not 1v1. There's like 100 people in a group text. Not a group text, a group message within an app. Okay, so this is Instagram. That's what Instagram user identification numbers, groups, and networks of all of which the user is a member. That's what that's about, is a member. But that's exactly what Dave was talking about, that how he knew of things, how people knew of things way before is because of these group messages, right? Now, identification, future and past event postings. All right. Rejected friend requests. Rejected friend requests. So why are they going back to the drawing board with asking for rejected friend requests? This is for Kaylee, Maddie, and Xana. Why? Because I'm telling you right now, Brian Colbert was not following any one of these people on Instagram. No. But they went back to try to get this information to see if Brian Colbert ever friend requested them, and it was rejected. Okay. Again, they are hardcore searching for this link. Why though? Why, if they already had it, are they searching for one? Well, they didn't already have it. They didn't have that yet. Okay, well, why do it now? Because if they lose the DNA, if there's no DNA, okay, Dawn Daniels basically spilled the beans when she said, do not include anything to do with the DNA, the sheath, none of that. Because if for God, some reason, that gets tossed is what she basically says, we don't want this search warrant to be of fruit of the poisonous tree. We don't want anything and everything that we could possibly get from his apartment to be the only reason that we got that was because of us putting down the link with the sheath and the dad's going to the house, obtaining that trash. If the trash was obtained, not on the up and up, what goes out the window? Well, the arrest of Brian Colbert goes out the window, but that's why they left it off on everything else. The only thing that they used that DNA link with the garbage was to arrest that man, right? Everything else, the two other warrants, the big ones, didn't have it. But why does Dawn even say that? You know what I mean? Like, why are you even saying that? Bitch, you just told on yourself without telling on yourself. That's what I think. And that's my opinion, and you ain't gonna never change me off of that because nobody fucking says that. Nobody says that. And I think she also wanted to fucking out it in a way like, I'm not involved with what the fuck they just went ahead and tried to pull. That's what I think. Dawn Daniels had a history back in the day of using a credit card that was issued only for the use of, it was supposed to be through the force. They're making all these purchases for personal purchases. And Dawn Daniels kept her mouth shut. Her career got advanced. Other people did not. So that's Dawn Daniels back in the day crap. So any and all communications and messages received by or sent from the screen/username, including all private messages. Now we're going for the private messages. All right. This is talking about communication. You're telling me that they didn't go after this back in the day? No, they sure didn't. Okay. Why? We need a link, guys. Well, I thought that Lanier came out and said that we went through so much shit. Kaylee wasn't being stalked. Kaylee didn't have a stalker. Then you go and arrest somebody like Brian Kohlberger and you say that he was stalking them. Make that make sense. Everybody's safe. This is not some fucking, this is a targeted, isolated attack. Not if you're arresting Brian Kohlberger and not if you don't have a link. It's not a targeted, isolated attack. A targeted, isolated attack. Everybody's fine. Okay, sure. I'd be pissed if I lived there. IP logs, including all records of the IP addresses that logged into the accounts. You guys are going hard for IP addresses. Why? Because they want to know what other devices these people had when they were logging in on these, like Instagram. Okay. what devices were used by each one of these people. Do you understand that this means that these officers, no way before 9/11/2023 could they have ever read any private messages that had to do with Xana, Maddie, or Kaylee's. Think about your Instagram, your private messages through Instagram. They didn't read not one of them before the arrest of Brian Kober, nor did they read it and could possibly have read it. And now what they're going to say is, yeah, we had their phone, so we were able to download stuff. Okay, download stuff. Okay. Well, if that worked for you, then why would you need to do all this? If the downloading of the phone worked for you, why would you, if it was all right there? Because trust me, it would be like a hell of a lot of shit. It'd be like 15,000 pages per phone. I've went through them. I know what they look like. There's so much fucking like shit to go through. And now think about just one person and one murder. You have 4. And basically in this, you have 6 people that you'd be getting all their information from, right? IP, again, logs including now all records pertaining to communications between Instagram and any person regarding the user or the user's Instagram account, including contacts with support services and records of action taken. Again, just like the TikTok. Did anybody go and report anybody? Did anybody go and say that they were reporting something to say this person is, XYZ? You delete something, it's still going to show up unless you completely damage. Like you, yeah, once you have that device and it's not in a damaged position, like I was able to see all of Brian Drake's deleted messages to his drug dealer that he tried to delete. He deleted them, and actually what they come and show up in a Celebrate dump is they show you the message where it was, like in line with everything, and then next to the column where it says, was this deleted? It either says nothing, which means no, or it says yes, that it was deleted. And then you can go and find out when it was deleted. So, yeah, from Brian Drake's work phone, he had a guy that he was getting stuff from heavily with steroids, and he was asking for like painkillers, and that's for another day though. So what's my takeaway from this, as I'll be wrapping this up, is well, they couldn't have looked through any of this stuff until after the dates of late August, middle of September, number 1. Number 2, they clearly were looking for something, and I believe that they used and went about it this way because they could be creative to get something. But then I beg the question is why, if Brian Kohlberger is so guilty and so obviously the guy is there nothing there? Well, because he was so good. He was so good, but he decided to use his car, drive around the block 4 times, making sure that he was on camera, that his vehicle was on camera. Was it that he had no choice because there was truly nowhere to park back there and on the street, that he had nowhere to park? And so therefore, I mean, you don't think that somebody, okay, I was there one time. I've also went to college. You know how hard it is to find parking on college campuses?
it's so many kids in an area, right? And there's all these cars. There's never anywhere to park, right? You don't think Brian Kober going there and allegedly staking this house out would know that the parking is a bitch and that it's so tight. There's, late at night, everybody's going to be already home. Everybody's already going to be in their parking spots that they deem as their parking spots. So he would know all of that, right? He would know that there'd be nowhere to park if and in fact you staked out this house for that purpose. I have to ask this. If the targets were in fact upstairs because it was Kaylee or Maddie, when she got upstairs, and if you weren't expecting, let's say the target was Kaylee and she wasn't in her room because she was in, Maddie's room, would it have ever behooved you to say to yourself, if you're the killer, that you would plan on leaving out the balcony? Because you're in the back of the house, nothing's around that, nobody can see anything back there, and it is so close to ground level that when you come out that back patio, that you are literally just a little hop over on the left-hand side, which puts you back up into that area behind the house where cars can park. So I know you guys are fixated on the whole statement of like, they didn't have to, Gonsalves saying they didn't have to go upstairs. Well, guess what my statement is? This person didn't have to go downstairs. Okay, why in the world would you ever go back downstairs and possibly run into somebody? Why wouldn't you, if you knew this house, why wouldn't you go out the balcony? Or was that the plan and that they opened up the door and that's when they encountered the dog and said, oh shit. Okay, but it's not like you're encountering a pit bull or a German shepherd, or you're encountering those are the best dogs. But now I have to ask you this. If this is somebody that was watching the house for 12 weeks, don't you think they would know that Kaylee has that dog and that dog is more of like a house dog where the dog's always there, and the dog would be in that room then? So you would have to know that, right? And you can't say no to that, because if you say no to that, then he doesn't know anything about these people, right? You would know that. You would know that Kaylee has Murphy. But it's like, why would you ever go back down? You're really not that high up, because the way that the house is and it sits on this type of a hill, that when you are up at the top, you're actually so close to the bottom because of the hill. It's rising. And the house is built into that hill and then upwards. So yeah, why would you ever go downstairs if the targets were up? But all of this, guys, came after. Go look and check out the list on to see when the defense started hammering the prosecution with affidavits, declarations. It has everything to do with the DNA. That's when stuff was heavily sought after again by the prosecution, beginning in, I even think it had a little bit to do in March, was that sprinkle, but This has everything to do with if the DNA, in my opinion, if the DNA gets kicked and is tossed and you don't get to use the sheath at trial and you don't get to use the DNA, well then how does arresting him, how does that work? It's just, it's fucking crazy in my opinion. But the Kansas City 3 case, everybody's going ham on that guy, Jordan Willis. But, you know, God forbid he doesn't look out his back door or window for 2 days to see that there's 3 dead bodies, right? That are his friends. But God forbid us talk about the fact that there's 2 people in a house that are just, we think, sleeping through 4 people being slaughtered. But here, no. Now we find out that one of them is a witness and they still didn't call 911, but they're a witness enough to give some type of a description of the perpetrator. What in the fuck? This is Tina with What the Fuck Translation Services. I think America has lost their fucking minds if you want to compare stuff like that, in my opinion. But, you know, I just don't believe that you can have things both ways. But this is, to me, is all about finding connections, all about using, also, is it double downing? Is it double, I shouldn't say, are they double downing on the fact that with the story that they're going to go with, which would be that that Dylan and Bethany even have anything to offer, because could it be proven otherwise that one of them wasn't there? Why did they need more, in a sense, just more, period? They went out and got this stuff for a reason. You're serving search warrants for a reason. You're looking for something, right? That's the whole purpose. That you're sort of like, if someone tells you something, you need to go find it, right? So if someone says, Lana was sharing blah, 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 and Lana's done all these things, there's been a crime committed. Well, okay, we have to, for what you're saying, we have to go looking for it so we can get it, so we can prove it. We're searching for something. We're trying to find something. Well, I just want to know who's going through the material, because ISP went through the material of a pretty thick discovery in the Brian Drake case. And what they came forward with was that another doctor tried to commit suicide by being a gas leak because he had killed the good doctor because he had stole his patients. Excuse me? And that was 5 or 6 months later after the murder happened, but yet we're not even going to look at the wife or ask her where the fuck she was that day. Why would we do something? So when I see this shit, I say to myself, yeah, I can see this shit, because when you got the people like ISP involved, y'all can't investigate a goddamn who robbed the convenience store of the bubble gum when the bus just let out for, you know, the 12-year-olds. They would think that it was a homeless guy, but yet 14, 12-year-olds just went in there. But God forbid we ask any one of those 12-year-olds if they took a stick of bubble gum. But God, we're going to go blame this homeless man. Like, that's their logic.
Also, they don't.
Meanwhile, I would think the homeless guy's going for the beer in the wine section, but that's just me. The kid's going for the stick of gum. Oh, and the bus just let out? Yeah. Oh, the wife just got $1 million? No. Life insurance? Yeah, within 3 weeks, she got $1 million check. What? So also you're rolling with this tiniest of the window of the crime being committed versus you had a big old window. Now you're just, the state's going and saying this crime was committed between this window of time. Why? Because you're married to that. You're married to that now. You're married to the fact that it happened during this time period when Brian Kohlberger was circling around in his car. So you're married to the car. You're married to Kohlberger, and in that time period, with no evidence to support it, other than a placed sheath with DNA on it. Touch DNA. How much DNA? That's what I want to start talking about, is how much was just being passed around of this. What could have possibly been on that sheath? How much DNA could have possibly been on that sheath? And why would you ever need to go and get his dad's or go to the family's house to get their trash? This dude lives in Washington right there. What are you doing? That's not even how you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to compare your IGG work up against a family member of the person that you're going for. I want to know when these attempts would be to say in a report, hey, we were staking out Kohlberger's place after, we got this name, and then we found out that he has this car, and that, and we're just waiting for him to discard a cup somewhere. The guy went and got his hair cut. The guy went and saw the doctor. The guy goes to the DMV. They're searching. They're searching for a connection. They're searching for more. They need more. And I think it's because they're afraid that stuff isn't going to make it in. And why would you think that stuff isn't going to make it in? Well, probably because of what's going to come out on the steps taken. Don Daniels knew. Don fucking Daniels knew, okay? And then even if you go and obtain this information, it's how you're interpreting the information. Because how could you seriously say or think that somebody went and tried to commit suicide because they had a gas leak at their office just a couple days after the doctor was murdered? What? The town was, they were jackhammering. And guess what ended up happening in this jackhammering episode in Bonners Ferry? That meat fucking locker, that's the South Hill meat locker, it suffered so much damage that it ruined shit that was in the meat locker from the jackhammering. It loosened shit in people's offices around there. That is why there was a fucking gas leak. Okay, because they were jackhammering outside of these buildings, excuse me, these little fucking house-looking things that people use for offices. But the meat locker, that's like more of like a building, that was ruined because they were doing all this sidewalk work in Bonners Ferry. Like that's why there was a gas leak. That's why the meat locker was ruined. But these fucking detectives said, no, the doctor went and unscrewed, and so that there would be a gas leak, and that he acted like he needed to change a furnace filter. They took into evidence a furnace filter from his home where the doctor lived. What? And guess what it came back as? Like, just the wildest shit. And guess what? There's people in that case that were his workers, the doctor, they were all complaining that were working in that building of having a headache because of why. They didn't know why they were having a headache at work, but all of them were like, God, I have such a headache. I have such a headache. Well, no shit. Now we find out, oh God, there's a gas leak. Okay, that's why all these people had a headache. But yet these detectives know all of this shit, and then 5 months later say, we're going to arrest this dude. ISP says, Gary Tolson, he's our man, he's our man. Now, you look at this Idaho4 case that involves the same fucking people that were trained by someone like a Gary Tolson. Gary Tolson trained people. Just, why do you think Ann Taylor wants some fucking training records? Who's training you? Why are you? Gary Tolson and people like him, I believe, were telling and handling certain things that they were not supposed to, saying they are crisis fucking, what was it? They can handle crisis situations or crisis management, blah, 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 blah. And these are the people that are taking and interviewing people like the Dylans and the Bethanies and the neighbors, the boyfriends, the sorority people, the fraternity people. And then guess what they do? They interview these people, then they have their little cameras on, then they have their little pens that they don't do dick with. And so they take their little cameras that they have on with a recording device and they put it in a report, meaning they just turn it over to somebody. So you're going to have all these interviews. Who's the person that sat down to say, okay, let's go ahead and put this all together? 120 people investigated this case. That means nobody would know what any of these other people were saying. If I'm on the case and I'm just one of 120, I go and I interview Bob Smith. I come back and I provide you with Bob Smith's shit. I have no idea what even to ask him because I have no idea what's going on in the case, right? What do I need to ask him? Oh, how do you know this person? Oh, how... Those interviews, I can only imagine what's on those questions of what these people did. 120 people were on this Idaho4 case. I would never want those numbers on any case if my kids were involved. If it was my kid, no, I want a couple people because, and if it takes a couple extra weeks, when you get to hear a story from somebody, then you go and you talk to the next person, you're immediately going to know that what that person just said to you, an hour ago isn't remotely what this person is saying to you now. We have inconsistencies, right? How do you sniff out inconsistencies if you have 120 people and everybody doing something different and then they're just reporting back? Who's the person then to sit there and then just to listen to all of it again? So why would, what the fuck? No, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to investigate and get all the information. I only need to hear it once, right? But if I have 120 people out there, and that's what Ann Taylor said in one of her oral arguments. There was 120 people in on this case. Why were certain things going directly back to Payne and other things just going straight to, Detective Mowry? So ultimately, the decision to go forward with the IGG work and to basically surrender some of the evidence that you collected from the crime scene and you just turned it over. Who'd you turn it over to? You're just taking shit out of evidence for this case and you're turning it over to who? Oh, the FBI, who then turns it over to who? That's what they were trying to keep out of this case. And so here we are today. We have a hearing, right? And what we're going to be going live about at 3:45 is the second part of it, which is they're still trying to get this indictment, this grand jury tossed. And I think it should be tossed. I think that this should have went to a preliminary hearing. You know why? because that's what they all said that they were doing. Why would it change last minute? Do they have the right to do that? Absolutely. But how, as an American citizen, can you not ask yourself, and even if you're not an American citizen, if you follow from a different country, you would know, why would you back out of that? Why would you back out of that? Why would you not have your preliminary hearing? Why would you have to go grand jury? Well, wasn't the defense, that was the decision made by the prosecutor. They need more. If the DNA is tossed, what do you have? You have nothing. That's why I always ask everybody, what do they have on Brian Kohlberger? When I ask anybody that says Brian Kohlberger is so guilty, I say one thing to you. And my question is, okay, why? Why do you feel that way? And that's a very important question to ask, because that's what people think. They think he's guilty. Why do you think he's guilty? And I bet you the first thing that people will say is either A, oh my God, because the DNA, the sheath, what do you mean? Or they're going to say, well, the police arrested him for it and there's all this evidence against him. And then I say, what evidence? What evidence do you have? Something that I don't have? But isn't that just wild? But you're going to hear a lot of like, oh, the police wouldn't arrest him if he didn't do it. They say, because he didn't say not guilty. Well, that was a tactic. Who had to say not guilty for him? I'm standing in silence. I'm not even going to acknowledge this because this should have never happened. So I'm not saying shit. I should have never been indicted grand jury. Therefore, I'm not saying shit. I'm not even acknowledging it. But when you ask people why Brian Kohlberger is guilty, like, why do you think he's guilty? There's nothing out there that you can say other than, well, the sheath had his DNA on it. Okay. Anything else? The cops wouldn't have arrested him if it wasn't him. They must have a ton on him. Okay. But you haven't seen anything other than, you said, the sheath, right? Okay. So, but think about this. If the sheath and that DNA gets tossed, how can you find an impartial jury to still not consider the sheath? I believe everybody is innocent until proven guilty. I want them to prove that this man's guilty. You want to know why I want them to be able to prove it? I had Bob Mata on my channel. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. And we were talking, and he said, Lana, tell me the last time that somebody was acquitted. Think about this. When's the last time that somebody was acquitted and that law enforcement then went out, continued to investigate the case, and arrested somebody else for that crime that the person was acquitted of? So in a sense, tell me when a high profile case, and I said, that doesn't happen. It's like, exactly. So the whole point is that if you don't get Brian Kohlberger, I'm telling you, if he's not the guy, there's not going to be a Moscow Police Department and Idaho State Police is going to say that the jury got it wrong, that that's the right guy. That's what history says. Nobody gets acquitted of crimes. And then, for example, Casey Anthony, for example, O.J. Simpson, acquitted. Did law enforcement go out and arrest anybody for the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman to this day? Why not? Casey Anthony. So basically, if they don't get Brian Kohlberger, do they get justice? So think about that. It's wild. Again, what do you guys think in chat there? Invite copy. There's a link for you. All I know is I have a video where they are totally looking at how to get into that house from the backside. Body cam about them going to the back door. Couldn't it look like they were casing the place? Why hasn't there been, when's the last time there's been a noise complaint call in? Oh, what's up there? What did I reveal? The motive? Why wouldn't Ann Taylor use that body cam to show the only people that were casing the joint that you can prove? They do it on camera. Those police officers are talking about that house and how you would get in the back. Go pull all the. Are they talking about that with the house before that? They were at the guy's house. Were they talking about that house? Were they looking at it? Were they like, what an interesting comment to make and to be caught on body cam saying it. What an interesting concept that the police, who are the undercovers of that night, are literally parked right outside at 252, right there, when Kaylee and Maddie never make another phone call. You can put police right there when Kaylee and Maddie never make another phone call. By the time they get back at 150, what was it, 152? I want to know if they're, I want to know what time Xana's phone says that her and her dad talked that night. It's always interested me. What time was that phone call? What time was it that they were, I talked to Xana that night. She was at home. What time was that? Barry Morphew there was bail for Barry Morphew. He made bail and he was given bail and he was out, right? And there was clearly a huge link to him. It was his wife, right? And here, I just believe that his defense is working so hard to show that there's no connection to Brian and the victims, and what you could possibly bring forward is all going to be circumstantial, right? But every case is circumstantial now. That's just the world that we live in. But yet you want to tell me that it's circumstantial to the point, though, that you also then want me to go back and think that it's 1987 and that Brian Kober was literally stalking them like it was 1987 and sitting out at their house and, stalking like it's 1987. But then you want me to believe, though, that that no, he was doing everything. Which is it? Unless you have location and you could put him seriously in that house, at that house, just because he is peeing off of a cell tower that is utilized by 30,000 other people, no way. We can't even pinpoint a 911 call that was made to Bonner County right now. We have a 911 call that Bonner County, which is just 2 hours away. Where was the 911 caller? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? This is the 911 call. So 2020. We did an SOS. Oh, you did? Then why don't you have any CAD notes for it? I believe that they're burying an alleged call that they transferred in that situation. Woo. Why would the university president write a book, put it out there, and literally talk about what he and his crisis management team did, and only reveal that you're fucking missing? Coomer Scott Green is missing from the time that he was notified, which was right around noon, between noon and 1. And he's missing until he shows up after 4 o'clock. Where was Coomer Scott Green between noonish and 1 all the way until 4, after 4 o'clock? I believe that the Linda Lane cameras is the view that they're using, okay, in the PCA. That's what they're using. Ever since hearing about IGG and that it was used, you go back and you read the PCA and you don't hear anything about that anywhere in it. But yet that's what they chose to go with as a investigative tool. They don't talk about it at all, that they, sent that over to a lab to do X, Y, and Z, then had this lab and this investigative genealogist working to get X, Y, and Y. That's how you arrested Brian Kohlberger, right? What came first, the car or IGG? What came first? Why would a president put out a book during, clearly there's still an investigation going on when he was writing it. He's missing for 4 fucking hours. So take that for what it's worth. Blaine Eccles was at Costco. Was it Blaine Eccles or was it the other guy? One of them drove all the way to Costco, which is out by where Brian Kohlberger went that next, morning or middle of the day. And I was trying to count and figure that out a little bit. And I was like, okay. So nobody has a problem that that person went all the way out that far to go shopping. Oh. You guys understand that basically Green is saying in his book that they are 100% involved in the investigation? That the police and Green are just... And then what type of relationship does Green have with the mayor? The mayor comes out right away and says that this is a crime of passion. The fuck? Did you put that blunder in your book? What? Why did the police have to walk back what prosecutor Bill Thompson said in an interview? Why was it that, is the house targeted or is it the kids that were targeted? Why would the house even be fucking targeted? Well, why would Coomer Scott Green give up he's a billionaire. Why would he come and now be on the University of Idaho's campus within literally a pitching wedge shot of the house where he grew up in? The house he grew up in was where the murders happened. Okay. When you want to start sending messages to people, I can get to your people, I can do this. Why couldn't anybody possibly throw it out there that, hey, where was this incident at? Wait, where? Oh my God, that's where I grew up. What, did Green start getting paranoid? Is he the one? Whoever said that the house was targeted, the target? And if you go and you read that book, I just couldn't even fucking believe what he was saying in chapter 43. And mind you, chapter 43, his nonprofit is called 4-3, educate, whatever the hell it's called. 4-3 is the same chapter of the book that he talks about this morning. Chapter 43. 4-3, the acquiring of the online Phoenix. The house was the target. Well, I think I know who said that. What else did he say that I was this? Oh, they got notified. How in the world, one of the people that was on this emergency team or whatever, he said he was notified right before noon. Dude, it went out as a call that it was a suspicious, it was a unconscious person. Why would anybody be notified about an unconscious person at the same time? Like, are you listening to the scanner? So you're like, which I realize is a big thing in Idaho. They listen to the scanners. Okay. You guys, that call goes in all the fucking time. All the time. Did those calls go in there? This was never listed as a rip shot that it was. The 911 caller allegedly did not call this in as a murder, as a homicide, as people were dead. Allegedly, right? So I got on the phone with Moscow Police Department when I gave my recent report that I called in and said, I want to file a police report on a false report being made so that I would be swatted in Moscow when I was there. And one of the comments that Officer Waters said to me was that, oh no, it was just listed as a suspicious person, meaning about me. I said, just because something was listed as something when it first happened, let's talk about the Idaho4 case. It was listed as a fucking unconscious person. Did it end up being that? I was hot when he said that to me because I was like, that is the most ignorant thing I fucking think I've heard. Just because something, the way that it was written in by your, dispatch person to type it in, or it doesn't mean that that's what it was. Because your Idaho4 case was 4 fucking homicides, not an unconscious person, right? So you ended up changing it, right? So just because somebody called something in and the way that it was typed in through dispatch, choosing to type it in that way, doesn't mean that that's what it was. So now let's talk about my report that I won in and that I went investigated because somebody tried to swat me while I was there working. And if that would have happened to Brian Enton, what do you think News Nation would have done? What would the cops do? Brian Enton goes live to show you guys this is where 4 students walked behind the cop car, okay, and are seen coming from the area of the house and going into the band field, right? And that's Brian Enton live down there, right? So, yeah. So did people get Brian Enton swatted? I'm just curious. Come on now. No. Actually, where is my so let's go ahead and call Moscow Police Department and ask him about this typo so you guys can hear it again. This is for Annie Potts. I told you I would do it for you live, so I'm going to do it for you live. Got to talk to Detective Mallory just so he can clear up this typo for us, just to make sure that they weren't being investigated beforehand, which I know that they're not, but there we go. Okay. also, look at this date. June 23rd, 2020 is when they wanted that information. That's when Brian was arriving on camera. Let's see. I'll tell you, the biggest returns is the TikTok. It's the biggest returns. TikTok. Microsoft, looking so pretty. All right, here we go. It would be page 2. Page 2 of the stipulation. So we'll go ahead and call him. We'll ask him. And then we'll close this out. Moscow Police Department.
Police and Fire Dispatch.
Hi, I'm trying to reach Detective Lawrence Mowry, please.
Okay, are you just trying to follow up with him, or did you need to report something?
Yeah, no, this is just a follow-up. I just had a question about one of his. Yep, thank you.
Yeah. Hang on 1 second. Let me get you over to the office.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go, please.
Hi, yeah, I was just wondering if Detective Mowry was in.
He does not work on Fridays.
Must
I
be
gave you
nice.
his voicemail.
When do we get those hours? That's nice. No, I'm just messing with you. No, that's good to know. Can I go ahead and be transferred to his voicemail by chance?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks, hon. Have a good Friday.
And an associate will be with you shortly.
Oh, that's interesting.
Hello, this is Lawrence Mowry with the Moscow Police Department. I'm either on my phone or away from my desk. Please leave a message and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you'd like to return to the front desk, please press 0 now.
I'll record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or stay on the line for further options.
Hey, what's up, Detective Mowry? I'm just giving you a call here. Wanted to double check. This is Lana Oriani with Truth and Transparency. Wanted to double check. I believe it's just a typo in the recently dropped search warrants. Page 2 of the stipulation. It was said that the date was August of 2022, which would actually be before the murders. I'm just trying to make sure that I have clarification that that was actually August of 2023. I can go ahead and fax over the sheet that I'm talking about with the highlight area. And then if you could just get back to me and speaking on the paperwork and making sure that that was just a typo and that it in fact was not August of 2022, because that would make absolutely no sense, would it? Again, looking forward to speaking with you, and phone number that you can reach me at is thank you for your time. Now, for all of you guys, Detective Mowry in his statements said, under the penalty of perjury, that he works Monday through Friday, 7 to 5 p.m. He works the weekday shift. Interesting. Wonder when those new hours came about. I'll show it to you guys. Let's see. I currently work the day shift, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. But if I go back and grab my other ones, they say Monday through Friday. I'm just not going to go hunting around right now. I know what they say. Now I have to call back because I have a different matter that I want to touch base on. And so therefore...
Please prepare dispatch.
Yeah, hi. Can I just be transferred to somebody that I can speak with about a pending case, I guess you could say?
A pending case?
Yeah, like a incident.
Did you have a incident you already reported and you're trying to follow up with it?
Yes. So I was actually looking for Jay Waters, Officer Patrol Jay Waters.
Okay. I don't believe Officer Waters is on right now, but I can go ahead and I'll transfer you to records. They can take a message for you and maybe be able to help you.
Perfect.
Details you need.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Moscow, please.
Hi, yes, I'm actually calling to see if Officer Jay Waters is in. I don't believe he is, and I was sent here to possibly, I don't know if I have to leave a message for him. It involves a current incident that I'm following up with, as well as a pending case matter.
Okay, yeah, he is not in. The best way to actually leave him a message is going to be to send him an email.
Yes.
I can give you his email address if you'd like.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you say that. If that's the best way to get in touch with him, I have 2 unresponded emails over a 48 and 72 hour period. And so that's why I'm calling, because I try to give people enough time to, they have a lot going on. So if that's the best way to get in touch with him, is that normal, the 72 hour response?
Let me see when he was last on shift. Hang on one second, okay?
Thank you.
Yep, so it looks like he has actually been sick all week. He hasn't been in the office, which is why you haven't heard from him.
See, that's why I asked. I was like, okay, as soon as you said that, I was like, okay, but then hold up, because that's why I don't jump to conclusions. Perfect. Not perfect that he's sick, but perfect on that makes sense. And
it looks like he's back on the schedule for tomorrow, though. So if you don't hear from him by Monday, you can give us a call back and I'll make sure you get in touch with him.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. Okay, I will do that. I will actually, I mean, since the weekend's coming up, and he's gonna be back from being sick, I can just follow up with him on Monday if that works, probably best.
Yeah, like I said, he'll be back on shift tomorrow.
Okay. And then does he work over the weekend?
Yeah, he works.
Yeah,
over
you know what? That's right. He was on last Saturday. Okay. Then perfect. I will then hear from him then. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Have a good Friday.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I think that was Miss Tisdale. All righty. Well, I just have new information that I need to report. You guys want to hear a funny story? I like funny stories. Well, funny story is probably half of the community here, 932 you guys watching, probably half, let's see, put a 1 in chat if you are an iPhone user and put a 2 in chat if you use anything but an iPhone, if you're Android or I don't know what else is out there, but maybe Razor flip phones. Fuck shit. So 1 in chat if you use an iPhone, 2 in chat if you got the flippy going. Let's see what we got. The survey says ones and twos. Perfect. Okay. Well, I would like to show. Obviously, I take my safety and the safety of others very, very seriously. So much so that you try to have me swatted by the Moscow Police Department, I'm going to have a fucking problem with that, right? Yeah. So much so that you try to impede in my life, whether it's my personal life or my work life, I'm going to have a fucking problem with that. So let's see. What would you do if you knew that somebody was fabricating evidence in a crime? What would you do? If you knew that somebody was fabricating evidence in a crime, what would you do? Are you the type of person to do something about it? Are you the type of person that says, hey, you know what? That's not my problem. Everybody has a different outlook on things. But if you cover true crime and if you watch true crime, right? You're invested in true crime. A crime is a crime, right? And you want to speak about things and you always want people to do the right things, right? There you go. 32 to say, well, find out why. There you go. What would you do? Depending on the situation. So it depends on the situation on if you would, if you knew that somebody was fabricating evidence, if somebody was frauding, what would you do? What if it's your own case? What would you do? Would you just say, oh, well, look at that. Someone's fabricating evidence in a case. What would you do? Well, me, what I would do if it was my own case is I would obviously turn the evidence over with the factual evidence, right? But what if fabricating evidence leads to then another crime, which would be fraud, which would then be, so by you fabricating evidence and frauding the public, what type of crimes are we talking about here? Well, what could be the result of it? Well, I believe that Brent Kapaka was swatted. And look what the fuck happened to Brent in that town, right? Holy shit. Like what? You know, oh my God, this person's doing X, Y, and Z. And, you know, I think the only thing that wasn't said in my situation was that I didn't have a fucking gun. But so then I thought about it and I said, wow. I think actually during the time that I went to report a crime that happened to me, then people went on and then started committing crimes in the sense to fabricate evidence, falsify evidence. And then I wondered to myself, hey, I have a question. If I went out there and said so-and-so called the police on me, and if it wasn't me, wouldn't you just go to the police and say, here are my phone records? I didn't call the police. Hey, public, I didn't call the police. Here are my phone records. Isn't that what you would do? If you say to me, Lana, you called the police on me, I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't care enough about you to call the police on you. Nor do I care to call and lie to the police, right? And lie about whatever it is that you are doing, but I'm going to lie about it. So I was scratching my head to see how long I would let the fuckerage happen, because I'm investigating and covering the Idaho4 case in Moscow, and someone tries to get me swatted. I go ahead, release a 911 call. Well, it was the non-emergency call. played it all for you guys. And then it was like, holy shit, this is crazy, right? And then somebody says, well, no, Lana has the wrong person. Lana has the wrong person. Who cares what happened to Lana, though? Because Lana has the wrong person. Says who? Says who has, how does Lana have the wrong person? Well, because this girl came forward on TikTok and said that it was her. Okay. Again, proof. She said it was her. Are you going to apologize? Excuse me? So somebody comes out on TikTok and that's proof that the person I accused, who's innocent until proven guilty, by the way, that's what I believe in. That's proof. Interesting. What else you got? Day goes by. Lana. They showed screenshots. Screenshots of what? Of their phone. Of what phone? What are you talking about? Lana, not only did this person come forward to say that I am really the caller, but here are my screenshots of my phone. Oh, your call, like your phone records from like Verizon or T-Mobile or something like that, AT&T. No, Lana, they showed just screenshots of what? Screenshots of what? Of their call log. Oh, this is proof that of what? That this is the real person and it is not the person that you said. Oh, Well, is that a fact? Okay. Remember earlier we were talking about how you could take screenshots of screenshots of screenshots of screenshots, right? Remember the whole screenshot thing? But we have to get the data of the phone, just like they did on these search warrants, to pull the data to see where it truly originated from. But here, you guys all run true crime channels or you guys follow them. And here, Lana, the person that we are supposed to believe really did this is somebody that came forward to say, I did it, and here are my screenshots of my call log. Where the This is Tina with What the Fuck Translation Services. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, that is not proof, number one. But number two, what I see is now fabricated evidence, and you are frauding your subscribers, and you're frauding me, right? So now you're just really just racking up your fucking issues. But criminal, this is criminal material here we're talking about. Lying to a police officer to report is a crime. In Idaho, it violates section, what is it? 5618-13. Look it up. Anyways, I said to myself, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, the fuck? Why doesn't someone just go to the police if they didn't do something and say, hey, can I submit my phone records to show that I am not the caller? I'd call up the police. I'd say, hey, this person is saying that I called 911 or the non-emergency line. This is the incident report. It's not me. I would like to clear my name. Can I supply you with my phone records? That's what I would do, right? If I didn't do something, I'd be like, oh, whoa, I'm calling up the police and saying, hey, what I just said. And is there a way that I can email you my phone records? Okay. That's what I would do. Why? Because that's what would be used in the courtroom. Not a screenshot of a screenshot of a screenshot of a screenshot. And then somebody saying that it's them. Hey, it's me. Okay. Well, when you went ahead and decided to show your screenshots, I want to teach you guys something about iPhones. Okay. And it's just because I love my viewership. If this should ever happen to you, when you take a screenshot from an iPhone, the screenshot time up in the left-hand corner, because I'm going to put it on my device here. Oh, let's go ahead and print this off. Let's have some fun with it. Okay, here we go. File, print. This is what was submitted. Let's see how that looks. Yeah. Print that puppy. And then let me show you guys something. Ooh. Okay. All right. So, yeah, this is fucking funny. No. Number one is I accuse somebody and they have made 0 attempts to work with authorities to provide any type of material that would say that it's not them through their phone records. Number one. Number two is instead they wanted somebody to come forward and use this as proof. Okay? Now let me show you guys something. This matters. This would never be used in like any case. All right. But I want to show you guys. You guys see that right there? What that is a picture of is that shows that this is a screenshot. That's a symbol for a screenshot. Okay. Now, this is an iPhone. This is what it looks like when you have an iPhone. All right. And now this is what was supplied. Let me back out. To show, to say, oh my God, this is, I did this. This is somebody saying, I did it. Hello, it's me. And they took a screenshot of their call log history. Okay. Now, do you see where it says today at 8:18 a.m.? You see that? With an iPhone, ladies and gentlemen, with an iPhone, whenever you take a screenshot from and you pull up your photos, or you're going to go to a section of your phone that would have your call log so that you can take a screenshot of it, okay? The first screenshot that you ever take, it's considered a picture of something until you then take another screenshot of that original, then it becomes a screenshot of a picture, which is that, okay? That's a screenshot of a screenshot right there, yes. But more importantly, whenever you're using an iPhone, ladies and gentlemen, of the jury, you guys are the jury, this today at 8:19 a.m., whatever time it shows today at this time, even when you scroll down through, because you have to get down through to days that are back in the past. With an iPhone, it does today at the time that you're doing it, and it will match to the timestamp of in the left-hand corner of your phone. You guys can all, if you have an iPhone at home, do it at home, and you're going to follow my steps here. Mm-hmm. So right here, this timestamp 8:16 or 8:18, whatever it says there, would match. Those two will always match if it is the first screenshot of something. You understand that? The original, because the way that you're actually supposed to say about screenshots, it's the picture first, and then it becomes a screenshot. Even when you use your phone, when you go online and you take a screenshot of something, it is in fact a picture that you're taking. Then once you try to take a picture, or I'm sorry, a screenshot of that picture, that's when it becomes a screenshot. And that's what this is, okay? But guess what this is, though, even more so? This is a screenshot of a screenshot. How do you know, Lana? Because somewhere out there, ladies and gentlemen, what exists is the original motherfucking picture, which would be this timestamp matching that motherfucking timestamp. Those two timestamps must match in order for it to be the original. Also show them the doctor card. Okay? Now, the other thing is, this is a screenshot from a roll in the right here, what you see down here. This is coming from straight from your camera roll. Okay. So let's say that they tried to, I don't know, what is it? Use this in the Idaho4 case. This is why they have to do all these fucking search warrants, because they have to get to where everything originated. We can't just have Bethany or Dylan coming in and saying, You guys, this is where I was. Okay, like I wasn't anywhere. This is ridiculous. No, is that how that works? So, but right down here, when there's no other pictures over here, because it would be a whole long row of all your pictures, when it starts right here and there's nothing more over here, that means this is the last one that you took in your roll, like of all your pictures. Normally, depending on where you're pulling stuff from, this will all be full. Unless you go all the way back to the most recent stuff that you took, that's the only way that it would have nothing over here and it would start here. But if you have to go deep in the cut to find your picture, which you should have depending on when you took this, this would all be full because you have to go back to find the screenshot that you took. Because you would be wanting to supply the fucking real nuts, you know? So this is what you call fabricated evidence, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the original fucking picture because this time would need to match with that time. What this is, now, who in the right mind would ever supply as evidence not the real one? Like, you have it. Show that one. Show the one that is the original on who took the original from their actual phone. Where is the one that came from their actual phone? The actual phone that this log is from. They went ahead and changed all these names to this shit. So don't even fucking pay attention to that stuff. They're a bunch of fucking morons. The point is that who would ever fucking go to these links to lie for somebody else, all right? Then supply fucking this type of shit. You're supposed to be covering true crime, and all you continue to do is make the most ridiculous fucking, like, you prove my point every single day. But this right here, you just fell into the trap yet again. But what this is, ladies and gentlemen, is this has to match that. And it shows you that it's a screenshot of a screenshot because of that, okay? So where is the original? Where is the one that matches up? Where is it? Or better yet, fuck all you. And if you truly want to vindicate yourself from anything in life, you'd go and cooperate with the cops, do it through a lawyer if you want, but you would supply your fucking phone records. But guess what? You can't, can you? You can't supply your phone records. Nobody wants to know who the hell you called. We want to know, is there a phone call at a certain timestamp? I said, fuck it all. I don't want shit. Deal with the cops. Take your happy ass with I dare you to take this to the cops. I mean, I already did, but because you're frauding people. What you're committing now is fraud. Every single time somebody clicked and tossed you money while you were spreading this fraudulent shit around, you're frauding people. Every single person that unsubscribed to me because of this fraud, which we kept track of the ticker. You came for the safety of myself, who keeps my son safe. I have a fucking problem with that. You guys are criminals. You're totally unoriginal. And you need me to supply you with every fucking piece of content so that you can peddle your pennies. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't know who the fuck you are. But what you're doing is criminal. And you're violating my civil liberties. And you're totally defrauding. You're committing fraud on all the viewers.
And you're wasting police resources, what you guys always complain about. Parole clutchers.
Now, for all of you guys that watch my channel that possibly ever have the inkling that a spouse is cheating on them or somebody's lying to them, I would love to help you. And I will let you know how you can find those people. But right here with an iPhone, that number, meaning a timestamp, and that number, meaning a timestamp, those will always match when it is the original. When you took it in the real time, it has to match. Otherwise, it'll show you that it is not the original. Okay? Which means, okay, that this does not mean that it is from this person's phone. In fact, it would lead one to believe that it is not from that person's phone. And I say, why the fuck would you do any of this shit? What you would do is, the person I'm accusing is Alex Erickson. Alex Erickson called the police and tried to have me swatted, tried to interfere with my business, tried to interfere with my personal life. She was menacing by stalking, and she committed a crime pursuant to Idaho codes 1856-13. That's who I'm accusing. I don't give a fuck who comes forward to say a fucking word that they were the one. I don't give a fuck. Go fuck yourself. If Alex Erickson wants to say that she didn't do something, then she can take her fucking happy fucking, twang southern ass the fuck onto the police and show them her fucking phone records to show that she didn't make this call. Or maybe they already have it because I asked for shit to be pulled once they went with this shit. Once you are frauding, y'all are committing fraud out there. Liars, lying to the police, frauding people. And sometimes you got to lose a battle, bitch, to win a war, right? Y'all are fucking crazy. And anybody that follows your fucking anything to do with any of those channels, oh my God, it was me. I'm going to come forward. It was me. Fuck you. Sit down.
And I'll do it again.
And I would do it again.
What a retard. Same freaking waste police resources.
What's that song? What's that song? Let me think. Oh, wait. What's it called? Let me think. I got a song for you. Ready? If you know, you know. Because I can.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Join me back here at 3:45, which is 3 hours. We got a hearing to attend. Buckle up. Let's go. Shit, deja vu. We just had a baby. You're looking so fine for just having a baby. Again, thank you guys. Janet, love it. Robin, love it. Thank you so much for the love and support. C-Dog, what is up? C-Dog, what is up? C-Dog, what is up? Oh, love it. Judgmental. Love it. Love it. What a name. Uh-oh. H to the Izzo. E to the... Oh, another excellent presentation, Lena. Hi, Bella. Aw. Hi. Angela. Yes. Tara, yes. Layla got me on my knees. 7 months. TNT. Please. Yes. There we go. There we go. Love it. Love y'all. Love y'all. Much love. Much love. Now I gotta go cut this out of my video so I don't get hit. I gotta go cut out Eminem. Bye, guys.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
This November 29th.